Let's bring in Jonathan Turley now, a constitutional law attorney, George Washington University law professor, and a Fox News contributor. Jonathan, great to see you. This was more from the pro-Palestinian protesters at today's hearing. Listen.
Over 10,000 people have been killed, and you're trying to silence the free speech of students.
Speaking up against genocide become anti-Semitism. How is that the same?
Palestinian students should not be censored.
So there seems to be a growing focus now on free speech on these college campuses as we see this rise in anti-Semitism and threats, quite frankly, happening on college campuses all over. Please weigh in on this moment, Jonathan.
Well, you know, Sandra, what you saw in that committee hearing is nothing new for many of us in academia. We've seen these types of deplatforming efforts, as it's called, successfully used on campuses to prevent others from hearing opposing views. That's what ripping down these Hamas hostage flyers are all about. These people believe that it's an exercise of free speech to keep others from speaking. You know, I have one of my kids at George Washington University just a few days ago saw a person walking through the campus ripping down those hostage flyers, including right in front of our law school. That sense of entitlement didn't just develop this week. It's really been taught to these students, and it's been taught to them, including by university professors. There are professors that believe that silencing others is a form of free speech. It's told them that free speech is harmful and has to be controlled. You have major media that is now expressing shock, but the New York Times, published pieces by a professor who said that he was totally okay with protesters killing conservatives. So the New York Times, which banned Senator Cotton, had no problem in publishing people like that. So for those of us who've been on college campuses for years and watched conservatives, libertarians, dissenting faculty silenced, this is not new. And indeed, many of the faculty now objecting have not been heard before in the last few weeks. And I'm glad that we're beginning to focus on what is happening on our campuses.
But perhaps there's going to be more than just a focus on that. Perhaps there will be accountability. You've got now the education secretary warning schools could lose federal funds if they don't adequately fight this growing anti-Semitism. But the colleges are certainly under a lot of pressure in this moment. Every word they say, every statement they put out. What do you believe the college campuses need to do in this moment?
Well, you know, I've said that I oppose efforts to ban Palestinian groups because I believe that we need to protect free speech for everyone. And at the same time, however, people need to feel safe. A lot of the students at GW, other campuses, don't feel safe because of the rhetoric that's being used by many of these protests. And so universities have to walk that fine line. But higher education is based on free expression and free thought. And we have to be resistant to banning of groups while also insisting that groups have to refrain from threatening language. And most importantly, we need to discipline students who are tearing down flyers, preventing others from speaking. We should have been doing that for years, and we should do that now.
It'll be really interesting to see where the White House goes with this. I want to highlight, obviously, we're watching what's happening on Capitol Hill, and we're about to hear from this White House who also has struggled with their messaging. We mentioned jean-pierre and this buggled message she had from her microphone yesterday that she quickly had to then go and clarify via a statement and a tweet about her response to those that are ripping down the pictures of the kidnapped children in this country. This seems to be a moment that is highlighting a lot of where we stand as a country, young people, government officials, and beyond.
Yeah, for Jean-Pierre, I was left sort of dumbfounded by that moment. Why is that a tough question? You know, this particular thing that she was referring to is anti-Semitism. It's the efforts here are directed towards Jewish people in tearing down these flyers. Put up your own flyers. There's a solution. Yeah. So it shouldn't be a tough question to support free speech while pursuing those who would deny others the chance to speak. And, you know, part of I've been really shocked by the level of threats and reckless rhetoric that we've seen on our campuses. I've talked to Jewish students who are very concerned. I know that some parents have actually asked their kids to come home because they don't have faith that the universities can protect them. We need to stop that. I mean, universities need to be a safe space for everyone to be heard, but to be heard respectfully.
Well, Bari Weiss said it in her opinion piece today. It's not about diversity, equity, or inclusion. It's about arrogating power to a movement that threatens not just Jews, but America itself. It is a pretty incredible piece in this moment. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.